In studio, we do have policy and political analyst, a guest who's been here before, actually. That is Odoyo Owidi. The conversation is about kingship and does it even exist? Odoyo, karibu tena sana to Radio Generation once again. Yes. You've just heard the comments I've read.
I've heard them.
And, people have been mentioned, such as Opio. I don't know who else has been mentioned here. Let me see. There's Alado amekuwa mentioned hapa. Nani watazamaji ambao wanasema hivyo, that these folks will not be anywhere close to power in ODM as far as going forward is concerned. What are your thoughts?
I'm really not very sure of who else was on that list. I heard somebody say that there are some people on that list say who will not go anywhere. The people who would go somewhere are people who made it to that list by their own might, charisma, and strength. Those are the people who would go far. Because when the battle actually begins, there are some people who have been experienced in politics. They have been there since they were young men and women. But they have never fought a political battle against anybody. They do not have the experience for a protracted political war like the one Raila has always fought in this country. Raila was a very self-made person. He got to where he is by his own might, charisma, and strength, and endurance. But majority of these people who have been hanging on his coats going forward are going to have a very difficult time, because even the narratives they have developed over the years are those ones of mention Baba and you are in. And now I do not know how they are going to do it. I even remember there is a current by-election going on in two constituencies in Luoland. In the one where I come from, the party officials had already come there and said, the battle that this boy have now is not the battle against us or him. This is a battle against Raila. You know how those people have already disparaged Raila and called him bad names and even said he had a virus. Now, when you look at that language, how is it going to change? Because the election has not been done. So I think we are going to have a protracted war. The only thing that will be favored the people who are there now is that they probably may have been elevated and have more resources than beginners. But the battle, which I will call the scramble for Luoland, is beginning in earnest. And it is not only going to be at local level. Even nationally, I'm sure there are people who are now setting up themselves to see what piece of Luoland they can run away with.
There are some names that have been mentioned here. Let me just read. This is on the Star newspaper, page 7. Nyanza big names likely to fill Raila's void and chart new course. Senator Oburu Odinga has been mentioned. Governor Orengo. MP Babu Owino, we have Otiende, CS Wandai, and of course Governor Wanga. Then Professor Gitile Naituli says that Nyanza has leaders which people were not able to see because of Raila's shadow. And some of those individuals I think he's alluding to, because their pictures are here, include Energy and Petroleum CS Opio Wandai, Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo, and Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga.
Those are the people who have not been able to be seen because Raila was there.
According to
but
this.
Many of the people who were at least seen because
I think he's got it wrong. Take, for example, the Homa Bay governor. That lady has never competed with anybody at nomination levels. So I think that person completely got it wrong. I think the people he has been seeing are the people he put in his pimometer, and now he was measuring them against the rest. There are people who have been locked out from any elective positions since the day they ever attempted to be elected. One of them is yours truly. And so the battle is about to begin.
Perhaps.
And I see, one thing I agreed with Raila Odinga about blocking out certain people. Raila Odinga needed to work with a united Luo brigade to a battle to get power. And if there was anybody within that brigade who looks like he can divide people by his strong words, by his way of doing things, like Owidi, Miguna, and the rest, lock them out so that the Luo walk united towards this goal. So sometimes it is not really bad. When you are going to war with an army, and there is a general among your armed forces who is dividing the army, throw him off board. That is what Raila Odinga did, and I think it was the right thing to do. There are some people who would have split this juggernaut much earlier.
Yeah. Perhaps just to revisit again what Professor Naituli here has said about NGCS Wandai, Rarieda, Ompia, Otiende, Amolo, and of course Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga. When he said that they have been overshadowed, perhaps he meant in terms of leading the Luo nation, not necessarily in the dockets that they have been given.
I do not think that is the route, because, somebody like Otiende Amolo, I think he's not been hand-lifted so much. There are many times he had really to fight his way through. In the initial list of the young Turks that came in 2013, we had that Opiyo Wandayi, we had Ken Obura, we had David Ochieng, and a few others. And at that point, even Millie was relatively around there, though she was a little bit older than them.
Okay.
And they had started a movement of, we want new leadership in ODM. But they were scuttled. You remember the men in black at Kasarani.
Yes.
You remember Babu Namwamba was also in that team. But they were scuttled. And in that process, the person who remained standing was Opiyo Wandayi. I think he mended his fences with Raila Odinga in time. And so he remained on the correct path. The only person I would say has been overshadowed by the president is a person who entered politics without Raila's help in the first place. Then thereafter, he could not grow because there was a bigger tree towering above him.
Okay.
But the people that owe their election, initially and subsequent ones, to Raila Odinga, I don't think they should be on that list in that way.
Yeah, who is that individual that you just mentioned? When Alijiingiza, but he found this towering figure.
I think to an extent, Otiende Amolo was in that group to an extent. Otherwise, that place you only enter if your loyalty had been proven.
Yes.
And it is something sometimes you ask some people that if you are Raila Odinga, what would you have done with certain people? What would you have done with them? In 2002, a man was elected from Kasipul called Engineer Peter Owidi. He later died in 2005. And then there was Orwa Ojode from Dewa. Those people would have given Raila a very hard time because they were very independent in the way they used to do things. They would not say yes all the time. You see, if you look at those people you have counted, you go to their social media accounts, you are most likely going to find a pinned post. And that pinned post reads, Raila is always right. Number 2, Raila is never wrong. Number 3, if you are in doubt, refer to number 1.
Okay.
So such a person, in the absence of Raila, who will tell him what to do or how what to do? Because they used to say wherever Raila goes, they go. What will they do now that he's not there? So they are going to find themselves in a very unfamiliar territories. Oh, there's a gentleman they have not mentioned there who made it to where he is almost singular, and that is Babu Owino.
Oh, he's mentioned here.
Oh, he's mentioned there.
Yes.
Even the choice of the constituency he was running in was informed by the fact that he would want to run against any wave that would want to stop him.
Okay.
And this stopping of politicians from progressing was only possible in purely Luo constituencies. And even within the Luo constituency, there are certain times that a politician may look like he would override the wave and move on. In the last general election, there is a constituency called Suba South. The person in Suba South then, the immediate former MP, was John Mbadi.
The CS for Treasury.
The CS for Treasury. He had moved on to vie for the governorship of Homa Bay County. Then a person was left there called Karoli Omondi. Karoli Omondi over the years had complained that he was being prevented from ascending to the MPship. But when the elections were nearing, he was already out of ODM going to independence. They called him and told him, move back to ODM and we will give you a direct ticket. Because if you left him with that independence and in the absence of Mbadi, he probably would have still won against the ODM party. And I think as a political party, you don't want that, because that opens you to competition that is unnecessary. So such are also there. But when you are in a constituency that you cannot win on your own,
right,
then they will filter who really gets the ODM ticket. That is what happened in Luland throughout the period.
Okay.
People have looked at it, especially those who felt blocked out. But in retrospect, I think it was the thing that probably I would have done if I was in Raila Odinga's position. It's something people do quite often. I know even in corporate world, people don't want their deputies to be very strong people, to be people who are too independent to listen to them even when they have not spoken. That is what normally happens. But
one of the things that has characterized politics in Luo Nyanza, every once in a while you will find individuals who either stand on parties that are not ODM, and some manage to win. In Kisumu, there's a guy called Odoyo Owidi. Odoyo Owidi stood on Ford Kenya.
And won. Twice.
My own MP in Muhoroni first stood on a PDP party.
Correct.
And won. But Governor of Migori Obado, when he first stood, he stood again on a PDP party and he won. There's Shakil Shabir, Sumu East, independent. Now, those who stood on these parties, like the PDP, they later joined ODM. Okay?
Yes.
But it tells you that their voters were willing to elect them.
Yes.
Despite the fact that they would support the presidency of the late Raila Odinga, but when it came to their own MP, they were determined, they knew who they wanted to elect, and they would elect that person.
And to an extent, there is also a composition of those constituencies. And when I say constituency, I mean even the county as a constituency of the governor. There has to be two things that will propel you to win in those constituencies, even when you have when you are not on ODM. One of them is the tribal composition of certain parts of such a constituency, like in Migori. Migori, we have a quarter of a constituency which is Luya, and two constituencies which is Kuria, and a large cosmopolitan area called Migori. So that already gives you some people who are about 30% independent of ODM capture. Then another factor which sometimes play is the nature of people who live in those constituencies. Muhoroni is by itself an immigrant area.
It's a settlement scheme.
It's a settlement scheme, correct word. Your vocabulary is bigger than mine. So
I live there, so I know.
Yes. So people who have the capacity to move and resettle themselves elsewhere is not your ordinary hoi polloi in the streets. There are people whose understanding is a little bit higher. And then you find Muhoroni is also a settlement scheme with the sugar mills. So they are also working force there. So is to Kisumu east of Shakil. And so is the west of Olago. But if you go into a completely inland, lowland constituency like Ndhiwa, Kasipul, Karachuonyo, you can't, even if you brought enough money, you can't. Because the Odingaism now becomes cultic. It's like a taboo to go against it. Yesterday I was speaking to a 26-year-old girl, and she told me she grew up believing that Baba was immortal. And she also told me that the mother have not eaten since Baba died. And she also told me their TV has been off since Baba died. The mother has refused that TV must not be put on. She doesn't want to be reminded that Baba has actually passed on. It takes a very clear head to see Baba as a living human being capable of falling sick. When people, including very senior politicians in Luoland, were still denying Baba was not sick, I went on my knees and made a prayer for him, which went viral. I'm sure it must have reached city. Because when you are sick, I know you are sick. You know, the last time I met Baba, hand in hand, before he died, was on the 7th of September, the day we had the red moon. It also happens to be the day my uncle Dalmas Otieno Nyango died. And because the last wife who was supposed to be with her had gone to a funeral, she called me and told me Baba was there, but he is unresponsive. So I ran, and I was among the first 2 people to get there. So I stayed there. By the time Raila was arriving also to see, I am the one who met him. And when I greeted him, it was clear to me that even though he was strong, walking and talking, he was not well. When he did not attend Dalma's funeral, I knew something was not right, even though people were denying. I know I have lived with Raila closer than the people who got elected live with him, because he's somebody, City will tell you, I kept on watching his everyday movements. Where is he? What is he doing? With who? So I knew he was unwell, and I went to pray for him. And unfortunately, my prayer, I don't know what God did to it. I don't know whether he had not looked at it correctly. But it is very painful, because for me, he made things predictable. Yeah. Right now, me and City are sitting here, we can't predict anything. I've heard people talking about kingship or all that thing. But you see, people who tend to learn only through experience, sometimes they end up learning the wrong things if what they're experiencing is the wrong thing. We have a large population in Luoland. They have only experienced Raila Odinga as a leader. You know, the kingship as during the Raila period is not the same as during the Jaramogi period.
Explain the difference, please.
During Jaramogi, there was no full control. There are times, actually, Jaramogi was even in jail in Kenya, and things would happen even in his absence. But I tell you, if somebody dared take Raila in, Kenya would have banned. So it was not even a possibility. Nobody wouldn't think about it. But in the event that even did happen, he would still command his troops from in there, because it is a possible, maybe it could have been held elsewhere outside the country. So this kingship was also a creation of the media when multi-party came, because the media needed a way of describing people who are so popular in their areas that they control. So the media needed some term to tag to it, and that is where they got this kingship.
Yeah. Actually, someone is just mentioning that on YouTube. Let me just read it really fast. They are saying, fun fact, this is Atticus now. Luos do not have kings.
Correct.
They are clan-based. Some mistake the title Ker, this is K-E-R, for king, but it means champion. I don't know if you...
I've tried to get what you are saying. So, they are even in the Luo culture, customs and traditions, there is nothing like this, like what Raila was to them. In the Kenyan constitution, there is nothing like that. But that is not what is very interesting. What is very interesting is they do not even know how to achieve what Raila achieved. People will not unite behind you with love, the kind they gave Raila, without you championing a cause that they believe in, championing a cause on their behalf, doing something that they would love to see happen, because that is when that love for the cause is transferred to you.
What is the cause that Raila championed?
Raila wanted to be the first Luo president. You know, Luo are very proud people. And I tell you, if Raila ever became president, more people would have died than those who died when he died.
Explain.
The celebration that would have taken place from the length and the breadth of Luoland, from Migori to Busia, from Uhuru Bay to Imbo-Senge, from the hills of Nandi to the shores of the lake, many people would have died. There are people who would have jumped off the bridges. There are people who would have jumped off the boats into the lake. There are many things. People who would have offended each other, those who would have drunk to death, many people would have died. That is the nature of our people. So when you hear some people say, talking about kingship, talking about a committee be formed to choose who is, that will not work. In fact, ukitaka kujua people who will always oppose each other, it is our people. So the only way somebody can acquire for himself the kingpinship of the Luo,
Right.
look for a cause that you know the Luo believe in it and champion it, and don't let anybody help you championing it because you may share
In the glory.
Yes. Champion it yourself. So the love for that cause will fall on you.
Okay.
The protection for that cause will be your protection. That is what happens. You know, Luos are very interesting people. There are times when they love Gor Mahia so much, you find a Luo who is running a hardware, and every afternoon he collects 100,000. Will still close the hardware to go and watch Gor Mahia. Don't think it is the only 200 bobbies used for the gate. That 100,000 imelala pia, and he feels nothing. So that is how we are.
Yeah.
We are largely a very emotional community. So this, I hope they will listen to what I've told them if anybody wants to be the kingpin of that community.
Mr. Owidi, who do you think it can actually, who has the spine to be the next king?
I can only describe who will be, but I don't know who will follow that formula I've given you.
Okay.
Yes. If you follow that formula, you will be. In fact, you will just, even Raila became a kingpin before he knew it. He didn't even know he was already one because of the cause he championed.
And the consistency with which he did it. And the odds he overcame. Because throughout, please remember, Raila was in Ford, Kenya. Okay? When there were tussles within Ford, Kenya, and he departed from Ford, Kenya, and by the way, those tussles were not at people disagreeing and then they shook hands. They were violent disagreements.
Yes. People ran under tables.
They were violent disagreements.
And some people died in the process.
Yes.
Yes.
So, what was not anticipated, there were the politicians who were in his father's generation, and they were still venerated in Luo land. Raila was a rank outsider. He was a young man. He had no political stature to speak of. But time was on his side. There was a generational change that the old guard did not actually see. Because what happened with his party and the people who were in it actually swept the seats in Luo Nyanza. And that was the beginning of the end of that old brand of the politician. Now, from that point onwards, it was fight after fight after fight after fight. And when I say fight, it's not as though people talking and insulting each other. No, physical fighting. There was a gentleman called Oile. He was the mayor of Kisumu. That man and Raila did not see eye to eye. Hey, God Almighty.
I know.
The vicious clashes that took place, election that took place during that period, my friend, it wasn't a walk in the park. KANU still held sway, and this was Raila opposing KANU. Now, historically, you look at it and say, but it was a political party. Actually, no one dared oppose KANU. That's why that group of people, Anyona, Koigi, that whole group of people, Orengo, the reason why they stood out, they were doing something that other people had not done. There's a lady called Chelagar Mtai. These, Machofu, these are people who are opposing a political power and a political party that no one else dared oppose. Just daring. By the time Ford came into being and matured and then split up, all these people who later were in Ford had been in Kanu. The history around that is an interesting discussion, which I will not go into now. But the point is this. I'm painting a picture to understand there were all these movements, there were all these people at the same time. And at that point in time, Raila was just one of these people. His father was still alive. But he already had a following. You see, what Mr. Owidi has described as Babu's position in politics and him going to stand in Embakasi East. There are those who argue that Raila could very easily have stood in Bond. But he did not. In fact, he could have stood in Kisumu town, to be honest.
Anyway, I would not even say Kisumu town.
Yes, he could have. But he stood in Langata. And he won. 4-term MP. Now, it's a journey that one must look at and the process and what it is he stood for. There's an aspect of his political journey that was similar to that of his father's. His father, when they disagreed with Jomo Kenyatta, he left. Most people will not leave. They'll stick there and say, I formed this, I'm going to be part of it. There are those who even argue and say, but why leave? You could have fought from within. Well, that's a question that the late Raila is the only one who could have answered. But he looked and said, this is untenable. He moved on. I'm simply saying, there is a very long history, and there are very many things that happen in between, and there were many casualties in between. But it is a journey that represented the aspirations of a people who had felt they had been marginalized for a very long time. And because they were marginalized, their voices could not be heard. So this individual represented that voice. And whatever he did reflected on the community, and the community felt he gave them stature. You could not ignore Raila Odinga.
Let's entertain a thought for a second and ask ourselves if, because we were having a conversation with CT in the previous hour, and I was asking him, is it possible for the leader of the Luo community to end up being the leader of ODM? And he told me it's one and the same thing. If you're going to be the leader of ODM, you might as well be the leader of the Luo nation. And with that in mind, someone like Babu Owino, if he were to be the leader of ODM, is he able to command the Luo nation?
Oh, really? That's not what I told this gentleman. He has a way of interpreting things to suit his purpose.
What did you say?
Let me hear from City.
What I said was this. To become the leader of the Luo community, I said, because he was asking in the context of now that Raila is dead, and I said, I do not know. That I will wait to see. But as for the party of ODM, there is an interim party leader.
Yes.
That is what I said. Yes.
And that's why I've said, let's entertain a thought. I did not say that what you said is different. So I'm just entertaining this thought. If today Babu were to be elected ODM leader, would he be the leader in Luo Nyanza?
Well, we don't elect leaders. Already explain this, please.
Anyway, well, let me tell you something.
No, but they said that they were going to. Oburu is an interim leader until the party holds elections
of the ODM.
Of the ODM party.
You see, you're talking about a Luo leadership, and I'm telling you, we don't elect leaders.
Now, what I'm asking is, if the leader of ODM automatically, and it's a thought we are entertaining. This is like we are trying to speculate, think, assume. That is what I'm asking. If for some strange reason they do elections in ODM and Babu Owino ends up being the leader of ODM, would he command the Luo nation? That's the question I'm asking.
No.
It's a philosophical question.
The answer is no, but Owidi can give his opinion.
Let me tell you, let's first of all look at who is the mother and grandmother of who.
Oh.
I told you,
yes,
to get the Luo behind you, look for a cause,
right,
and champion it for them. When you champion the cause, now you can make a political party to champion that cause. And people will be in that political party. Now remember, in the past, Raila Odinga has walked from one party to another. And when he walks out of them, he walks out with his people. Because the people are following that cause.
Not the party.
And that cause is championed by Baba. So, between Baba and the people, there is the cause. And he walks with this cause, and people follow him. So, even if you are given ODM now to be the chairman, the leader, and what, you may not make much if there is no cause the people believe in, which you are championing for them. You can be popular one between your opponents, but you see also to reach the level where Raila Odinga reached, where your own brother, mother, and father will abandon you because you have abandoned Raila. That one you don't achieve by the things these people are trying to peddle around, that I want to be the kingship because of ABCD. No. That is beyond that.
Okay.
It's like a religion. You know, religions are built on championing a cause of going to the kingdom of God. And in that process, there has also to be behind you an object of fear. I've watched some short videos of somebody being pulled to enter a house and they refused. But when an object of fear appears behind them like a barking dog, they are in. Similarly, in this journey, when there is an object of fear also you are running away from, and here is somebody taking you away from that into a better place, that means you are like a vehicle being pulled and pushed at the same time. The object of fear pushes you, and the object of hope pulls you.
The cause now.
Yes. And of course, the Messiah is this person championing the cause.
Okay.
3 items that are needed before you even think you can be a kingpin. And there are very many kingpins in their small kingdoms in Luoland. Some have just made churches. And in those churches, they have a cause of taking these people to heaven. And there is the Satan, which is an object of fear behind you that you are running away from. And they have made themselves the messiahs. We have several of them, Ezekiel, Owor, and many other smaller ones. But because they are many, they have divided the people. If only one such people were around, maybe majority of the people would be behind them. But again, for such, it takes belief. So to get people in many enough to believe in what you are doing is not easy. But for people to believe in you trying to get the presidency for their pride, then you can almost get everyone, including the largely educated cities. So I think these people need to go back and think correctly and know what it takes to become a kingpin in Luoland or even anywhere else. You cannot just say, I am one, I have been endorsed, bloggers are talking about me being one, I am cheered here or there when those ones will not work for long. Yes.
So there is this situation still ongoing on, and we're seeing it on the interwebs, where Sifuna is saying one thing, and it looks like the rest of the leadership is saying something different. What does this mean for the broad-based government?
I am going to say it here, not for the first time. I've said it elsewhere. There are certain people who are in ODM, but they had left that political formation long ago. They are just masquerading there for strategy reasons. One such person is Sifuna.
Okay.
When I heard Sifuna talk in Bondo and saying they will go by the last instructions Raila Odinga gave them, I went back and replayed that instruction multiple times. And it is possible that instructions meant, because I heard Raila Odinga say very clearly, they already have a plan which they are implementing.
Okay.
Why do you think that plan wasn't ODM is going to have a candidate in the name of President William Ruto? Why do you think that wasn't the plan? Because it is not usual that we are remaining with 2 years to the general election and Raila has not made it public that he was going to run for the presidency. The nearest he came to doing that was saying that ODM, who told you ODM will not have a candidate? And he also, in the same statement, he also said they already have a plan. and the plan is being implemented. Even though in the same sentence, he also said, do not commit the party to some arrangements. What he was trying to say, I am the one who knows plan. You don't know it.
So is it?
So when he tells people that the party has not sat down to agree, of course we know the party rarely sits down to agree on anything. He reports to the party that this is what we ought to be doing, and you see, everybody in that party knows when Baba said left, it's left. When he says right, it's right. So for political reasons, he normally tell the world that the party will sit and agree. That is for legal reasons.
Okay.
But we know Raila Odinga already had in mind who was going to be his presidential candidate. And when he said that the party already has a plan which is being implemented, from where I sit, President William Ruto was going to run on ODM ticket, and UDA was going to be collapsed into ODM, and that would have been the way forward.
Is it possible that that last instruction, if indeed it was the last one, where you've actually correctly phrased that, he said, do not commit the party to anything. Then during the burial, we saw several ODM leaders committing the party to a partnership with the Kenya Kwanza government that sounds it was a connection or a coming together in perpetuity. Do you think that perhaps they are going against what Baba said?
No. There are even people who knew. There are people there who knew the plans Baba had already made. Because even before that, when during the burial of Dr. Phoebe Asio in Karachuonyo, Baba, when the crowd is big, he can say things he originally did not intend to say. He said that we are going to continue with Ruto beyond 2027.
Okay.
So, in politics sometimes, you do not release all the information because you will attract a lot of babs. You will attract a fight back. So, I do not think, because even these people who are saying instructions, if you tell them, okay, Baba gave you instructions in Machakos, what was it? What was that instruction? Other than saying that who told you ODM will not have a candidate? He did not even say who the candidate was going to be. He did not even say who the candidate was not going to be. But when you look at his actions and inactions through the periods, then you could clearly see this candidate was going to be President William Ruto.
Owidi, something I'd like you to explain to me.
Yes, I will.
Why do you think that Sifuna, despite all his pronouncements, has actually left ODM?
Sifuna, because he's not furthering the cause of ODM, he's furthering his own cause with his own people. Because even though Raila Odinga was talking the way he was talking, his actions were very clear. How he was moving on with President William Ruto and his party. So it's only Sifuna who was talking and acting differently. And when Baba spoke in Western Province in defense of Sifuna's right to say what he was saying, he did not say he agreed with them. He only said that the Sifuna had the right under democracy to say what he was saying, to support who he was supporting.
There's been a clamor from very many people within ODM to have Sifuna either censured or disciplined or whatever it is. There are people who said it even loudly. You were once a member. In fact, you were once a life member of ODM.
Correct.
So you know how ODM functions. Would Sifuna actually make the pronouncements he was making without Raila say so?
Not even that. If Raila did not like it 100%, Raila didn't used to fire anybody. Even if you are the executive of the party, he would not fire you. He would ask goons to throw you out. When you disagreed with him, you make sure you don't go where he's going, where he has called a meeting. His boys will discipline you. That is why from time to time, he kept on defending Sifuna. because he knew if he did not do so, those boys would discipline him for going against what Baba was doing. But remember also, it is very delicate for somebody with the tongue of Sifuna to be thrown out of the party in any way at that point in time, when you are trying to consolidate these people and use them in the next general election.
See, what you seem to be alluding to is that Sifuna, outside the structure of ODM, outside the support that Baba gave him, that he has a following and he has a base. Does he?
I am talking about, I didn't say a person with the following, Sifuna, with the tongue.
I know you didn't.
Yes.
I know you didn't. I'm asking.
Oh, but let me tell you, Sifuna has no constituency of his own. He was Baba's man, and for that reason, Baba's people voted Sifuna. I think he's also believing he can get another person, hang on to him, and get the votes of such a person. I'm not sure who that is. But there is something that will come to light very soon. The plan Baba talked about when he was in Machakos. He said the party has a plan and they are implementing the plan.
If I look at what Sifuna has done, would you say he has not been an effective Secretary General for ODM?
I think whatever ODM wanted their Secretary General to do, he did it. He did it. And if he did not do it, they would have already thrown him out. But ODM is also very interesting. ODM, can just pronounce you Secretary General without any paperwork, and you are one. And you just proceed. And one day when they want to remove you, they just tell you are not coming back in here, and you are not one. And that's it. That's ODM. That's how powerful ODM and its leader was. Things are de facto.
Things are because they have been.
Things are de facto.
Is it possible that, and again, this is another wild thought, is it possible that Sifuna and team, the ones who are saying that, look, there is something Baba said, and then versus the rest, is it possible that the rest are just trying to go against what Baba said because they're like, this is our time, guys. If we don't do it now, we will never do it.
Nope. There is nothing they said during the funeral that they had not said before. Whatever Mbadi was saying, whatever Wandai was saying,
is consistent.
Whatever Gladys was saying, that is what they have been saying even before Baba died. But also you must also remember that when Baba spoke in Machakos, he was speaking to the newly appointed acting party chair, Gladys Wanga. Why do I say so? How many people in the party hierarchy is capable of committing the party? I know did I remember like CT, sorry, it's not a politics.
No, you're using as an example.
Yes. Would not commit the party to anything by just walking around and talking, we are going to support so and so, we are not going to do this. You cannot commit the party. The party can only be committed by the Secretary General, probably the chair, the deputy party leaders, and the party leader. And those people at the top which I've mentioned, only Gladys was talking differently or was saying that the party was going to do ABC, the party was going to support President William Ruto to this end. So from there, it is possible that she was the only one being addressed.
All right.
Not because she was doing the wrong thing, but because she was not the person who was supposed to do that. Yeah, that's it.
Other than Senator Oburu, who is the highest ranking member right now in ODM?
Who is the highest ranking? Of course, the deputy party leaders. There are three of them. Are they three?
There are three, yes.
Yes.
So those are the highest ranking.
Yes. Again, you see that rank from the time when Mbadi was the chair. You notice how far did he go with those things. And you remember, Baba will always tell you that the spokesman for the party is the SG. And the SG takes instructions directly from the party leader. Nowhere else. So, and I don't think in that party where I have told you things are de facto. You will not walk there because I have this position in the party. I want the party to go this way. Even now when Baba is not there, they will not listen to you.
Okay. The front page of the Star says Ruto to craft new power plan upon Raila's exit. So we have Professor Kindiki there, we have PCS Mudavadi, we have Gladys Wanga, governor of Homa Bay, and then we have CS Joho. What does this mean in terms of also the future of the relationship of ODM and Kenya Kwanza government?
First of all, let's say this. President William Ruto has the unenviable task of trying to put the Luo together now. Because the basket in which they were all sitting has been withdrawn, and it is many feet under.
Okay.
And I can tell you for free as I sit here, the unity of the Luo disappeared the day Baba died. It has to be crafted again. So if he walks and says, I am going to walk with, say, Gladys Wanga, he's not even going to take half of Homa Bay. Forget about Luo land. Joho, I don't even know even why the bother of putting him there. In the coast, in Mombasa, the voter population of the Luo is 150,000. The Arab voting population is hardly 50,000. Joho himself was a creation of Raila Odinga. And so is Abdul Swamad. And you could see that on the way they mourned Baba. It's not just friendship.
Okay.
It was a serious loss to their livelihood and political power. I once said here in this country that in Mombasa, the Luo are the voting tool for those people. All they need is talk to Baba, and Baba will grant them the Luo vote en masse, and they would be elected. And that is what was paining people down there. Do not be cheated that Joho without ODM would amount to anything in Mombasa. Nothing.
Okay.
And so those two people who have been put there, they will run away with very small chunks.
Of ODM.
Look, very small. Look, Gladys Wanga comes from Homa Bay County.
Yes.
Homa Bay County is where we also have Mbadi. Mbadi comes from a sub-tribe called Suba. Right? He has two constituencies. And I can promise you, he cannot run away with the whole of Homa Bay. Gladys Wanga is in Homa Bay, but she was born in Nyando constituency in the Kisumu County.
Okay.
And Homa Bay has one clan called the Great Rachwanyo, which is 3 constituencies. And as we were talking now, she has been struggling to pull them together to an extent that she even held a meeting in Carnival closed door with the people she believes were professionals from the Great Rachwanyo that could support her. And still there was no traction. There is a serious rebellion against her in the county of Homa Bay. And she's been trying to say, oh, it is Raymond who is bringing in, it is Owidi, it is none of those people. People like belonging. In fact, her story is going to be worsened by the fact that Baba is not there. Because I told you something about Baba. Baba is the only person you disagree with. Your own mother will disagree with you. And he had known how to work at the feet of Baba. And without Baba, that rebellion is going to become bigger. And then she is known to have one single bad manners that is going to cost her so much.
Okay.
She wants to plant leaders in every constituency and ward in Homa Bay County. It may look possible because the people who elect leaders are very low-level people. But the people who control them are their local leaders. And they are very unhappy with that arrangement. When you come to Kasipul and insist that so-and-so is going to be the ODM candidate and must be elected, and you carry him around every meeting you go to display him that is the already elected, even places where only elected MPs are supposed to go, you use your influence to take him there. People are watching you. So Gladys Wanga will have very serious fights to do in Homa Bay.
Yeah.
And in Homa Bay is where we have all the big wigs in this country today, as far as the Luo government is concerned.
Okay.
Because that is where we have the CS Finance Mbadi, we have the PS Interior, Dr. Raymond Omolo, and we have Dr. Kidero. So all of these people are political players in Homa Bay, and they are not going to cross the giant river Miriu to come and control them. You have to either work with them or ship out.
Okay.
That is what is going to happen. So just saying that she's going to bring for you people because of that name, let me tell you how it works for them. And this is something that I don't know whether it's Baba who taught them. That when you go to places where you don't have big following, you carry people in buses. So this lady has been carrying people even up to Busia in buses. So when she stands, she's cheered. But the story back here is very different. Joho, I have told you a story. So I think that list does not have the correct people to help the president put the Luo together.
Consolidate.
In fact, the people who are silent as Nyong'o and Orengo can be of more help than these two.
Okay. Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show. A very interesting conversation. Perhaps we shall continue because we know this is going to be a very big conversation going forward as far as Luo Nyanza is concerned and the broad-based government is concerned. Tunakukaribisha tena na tena. Tunakualika tena na tena uje tuweze kuzungumza.
Thank you. You know, when I see City move around here, I'm very comfortable. I don't know why. Yeah. I am normally very comfortable.
You're not the only one.
Yeah, I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one.